Good morning and welcome to Global Dialogues. I am your host, Baldomero Lago, and today we welcome the Honorable Jonathon Tichy, Honorary Consul of the Czech Republic to the state of Utah. During this session, feel free to ask questions in the Facebook comments window. If time permits, I will address a select few. As a brief way of introduction, Mr. Tichy was accredited by the State Department as the Honorary Consul of the Czech Republic in Salt Lake City on March 30th, 2009. He's currently the president of Envoy Legal and Consulting International, a firm that specializes in international legal and government relations strategies, where he advises international businesses, nonprofit organizations, churches, and governmental agencies. He also served as the Special International Legal and Governmental Relations Advisor to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In the course of his professional duties, he has personally met with hundreds of foreign government leaders and over 24 presidents, prime ministers, and foreign ministers. He's a certified native, near native, fluent in both the Czech and Slovak languages, and has basic fluency in the Hawaiian language. In the late 1990s, he received a special diplomatic appointment by President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Madeleine Albright to work at the U.S. Embassy in Prague. It is such a great honor to have you with us, Mr. Tichy. I'm delighted to get to know you a little better and to spend a few minutes just dialoguing on the Czech Republic, such a beautiful country. Tell us a little bit about your role as the Honorary Consul, and also tell us a little bit about your beautiful country.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I was accredited in 2009 and installed in the beginning of 2010, and it's been a wild ride these first 10 years. It's been a lot of fun being the consul, but I'm sure as you've experienced as well being an honorary consul, there can be some times when it gets a little bit stressful. But on balance, it's really been a wonderful experience to represent the Czech Republic, which is close to me because of our family connections to the country and the great vibrant community that we have here in Utah.
That is great. For someone that actually is not well-traveled or has never been in the Czech Republic, how would you sell that beautiful country to anyone?
Well, so the Czech Republic is located right in the very center of Europe. It borders Germany to the west, Austria to the south, Poland and Germany to the north, and Slovakia to the east. So it's right in the very center of Europe, and it's been a cultural headquarters for Central Europe for many centuries. It was the head of the it was the seat of the Holy Roman Empire for a number of years, and it's kind of been a crossroads for a lot of history in that part of Europe. A lot of beautiful things. One of the nice things about visiting Prague or visiting the Czech Republic is that it came through World War II largely unscathed. And so when you go to Prague and you see a building that says it was built in the 14th century, it was really built in the 14th century, not in 1950. So it's wonderful that that history has been preserved, and it's like walking through a museum just to go to Prague.
It is a high tourist destination for many individuals to go to Prague.
Yeah.
Are there any specific things in Prague that people may be interested in?
There's so much to see. The architecture is really outstanding. That's really one of the things that draws a lot of people there. Architecture that spans from Gothic to some of the greatest Baroque architecture in Europe. So architecture certainly one's the arts. There's a lot going on with the arts, but even film. The Czech Republic is really quite a strong film country, and always has been. For being such a small country of only 10 million, it's probably one of the top 5 or 6 film countries in the entire world in terms of production. And in fact, a lot of the US productions, a lot of the Marvel movies that people enjoy have done some filming in Prague, and a lot of well-known TV series and the like. So yeah, it's definitely got that charming European backdrop for those types of things.
That is fantastic. I hope that many individuals that are following this proceedings or will follow later will get excited just to perhaps plan a trip to your beautiful country. So that is
Absolutely.
exciting.
we'd love to have them.
Of course, you will. Listen, tell me about a little bit about the Prague population here in the state of Utah. Do we have a large community, smaller community? How
Yes.
is it?
It's a relatively small community, but a very vibrant and active community. There are, we estimate that there are probably about 4,000 to 5,000 members of the Czech community that live in Utah, mostly along the Wasatch Front, but really all over the state. Interestingly, a lot of the Czech community here are involved in a lot of really important jobs. We've got several that are professors at the University of Utah or researchers, a lot of doctors, a lot that are here in connection with Silicon Slopes and the like. So it's a very, very active, well-educated community.
That is great. And how is it to be an honorary consul for the Czech Republic? Would you mind sharing maybe some experiences or highlights that you have had?
Sure. When people ask me what an honorary consul for the Czech Republic does, I tell them that it boils down to 3 C's: cultural, commercial, and consular. And whatever I'm doing falls generally within one of those 3 things. And so, on the consular, it's providing support and services to Czech citizens who either live or are visiting Utah and maybe run into some trouble. They lose their passport or they need some documents notarized and the like. So those are the types of, kind of everyday consular services. Sometimes they get a little bit more exciting, if you will, if you have someone who gets in trouble with the law or something like that. So, there's certainly the consular aspect. As far as the commercial aspect, that's helping to develop trade relations between Utah companies and Czech companies and to promote international trade. And then on the cultural, which is where I also spend a fair amount of time, promoting the Czech Republic and its rich culture here in the state of Utah. For instance, one of the things that we do every year is we host a Czech film festival in connection with the Salt Lake Film Society. And we've done that now for 11 years, and it's become really quite a big event for the Film Society and for the community, not just the Czech community. We get a lot of film buffs because of the high quality of production that comes out of the Czech Republic that love to come and see our Czech films.
That is fantastic. You're talking about the commercial entity or the commercial relations between the Czech Republic and also the state of Utah or even the US. What are some of the biggest trades or cooperation or collaborations that the state of Utah actually has with the Czech Republic or vice versa?
Yeah, so right now you see a fair amount going on in connection with the startup IT companies that are part of the Silicon Slopes here in Utah. There's a lot of Czech startups that are active here and in the Silicon Valley. And so, we certainly see some activity there. There are also some other companies from the Czech Republic that are involved in engineering. And as I mentioned, we've got a supersized number of doctors and cancer researchers that are working with the University of Utah that are, well known in their fields that have chosen to come to Utah and have become a real asset to our community and to the advancement of medicine here in Utah.
Jonathan, this year has been very difficult for everyone. And I imagine that the Czechs have also struggled like many other citizens of the European Union. How has it been in the Czech Republic? How's COVID?
Well, that's such an interesting, I think when all of this is over, the Czech Republic will end up being a very interesting study in COVID. Because last year during the initial wave, the Czech Republic performed extremely well. They were early adopters with masking and social distancing. And throughout the summer had kept their numbers extremely low compared to many of their neighbors in Europe. And really, even worldwide, were, kind of considered one of the best countries in that regard. But lately with this third wave that's hit, it's hit very hard. And it's hard to know really what to attribute that to just see this complete reversal now where the Czech Republic has really struggled with this latest wave of COVID. I think thankfully things are trending the right way. But it was just, again, very interesting to see that they started off extremely strong and did really well. And it wasn't until just this most recent wave that they finally got hit, or got hit with, with a real punch. And, it's hard to know if it was just people letting their guard down or if it was, the way policies were enacted or the like. But, it's just been a crazy ride, like you said.
Has the Czech Republic been supported by with the appropriate medication and vaccination and so forth from the Union?
Yeah, they're certainly working on that, and they've certainly made progress. They've been receiving regular shipments of the vaccinations and are ramping up, just like we are here in the United States, ramping up those vaccinations, and I think making some progress. It will probably take a little bit of time, but I think for a country of their size, they're about on par with where we'd hope they'd be at this point.
It has been devastating, I know, for many nations. And as I read the news just even a couple of days ago with Italy, with this new variant of the COVID that is actually shutting down again, Italy. I wonder if the same thing is happening in the Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic has had to enact a number of restrictions recently, and those seem to have had some positive effect. In fact, so there were some border closings and some restrictions in terms of travel in and out of the country, and even within the country, they were trying to keep certain regions separated and isolated in order to control the virus. And like I said, I think we're starting to see some positive trends there, but it certainly has been a rough start to the year.
I would imagine that nothing has been said related to when those borders are going to be opening, right, in Czech Republic.
Not hearing yet. I'm not aware of any decisions on that front quite yet. My sense with the Czechs is that they're once the situation changes, they'll make the appropriate changes pretty quickly. I think one of the fears that I've had here is in America is how are we going to transition back? We're a big country. As a little bit smaller country, they seem to be a little bit more agile with making those changes. So hopefully, as soon as the situation allows, we'll be able to travel again and to visit some of the great sites.
Speaking of traveling to the Czech Republic, are there any restrictions? Obviously, right now they are because of COVID, but without COVID, does any U.S. citizen can travel to the Czech Republic?
Yeah, no problem for U.S. citizens. The Czech Republic is part of the European Union and is part of the Schengen zone. So basically, travel to the Czech Republic is largely on the same terms as it is to France or to Germany or Spain or any of the other members of the European Union.
That's great. Thank you for clarifying that. One of the things that we are actively involved from our office is the promotion of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. And I hope you are aware of the 17 goals and initiatives, indicators, and so forth. I mean, I'm not here to test you or quiz you on your ability and remember the 17 goals. But how is the Czech Republic? Are they aware? Are they working on any of these initiatives?
Absolutely aware. And I think that, the Czech Republic definitely places a priority on sustainable development. And I think one of the unique things about them is that, just 30 years ago, emerging from a 40-year period of communism and of industrialization that caused some scars on the countryside, they really see the value in doing things the right way. And so there is definitely a concerted effort to promote things like alternative energy, to sustainable employment, and really across the board, they're able and interested in meeting those goals.
It appears to me that the Czech Republic is a very peaceful community, peaceful society. What lessons have had to learn the Czechs to be able to come to where they are right now?
Well, being right in the middle of Europe, the Czech Republic has kind of been where, historically a lot of the action ends up being, whether it's, wars, during World War II or, during the Napoleonic era, they've kind of been there. And so, being able to, to adapt and to adjust has, is just kind of in their nature. And, but that being said, the Czechs are, wonderfully patriotic about their cultures and their traditions and the things that make them unique. But again, as I mentioned with our Czech community here, they tend to just blend right in. They're very good at assimilating and becoming part of the community, but yet still maintaining their own culture and traditions. For instance, here in the state of Utah, a couple of years ago, we founded it's the Czech and Slovak School of Utah. And what it is it's a weekend language and culture school for Czechs, for Czech expatriate families who have kids here, and where they want the kids to be able to maintain the language and culture, or even for American families who are interested in having their kids learn some Czech and the like. So that's been a great addition to our community, and we've had a lot of families that have participated in that.
Well, today we have been educated and we continue to be educated by the Honorary Consul of the Czech Republic. And what a beautiful nation is. And for those individuals that have never been in contact with or have certain previous knowledge in the Czech Republic, I believe that not only the architecture, as you mentioned, but also the rich culture can enhance or entice anyone to go and visit your place or even to become a little more familiar. Just kind of as a cultural side or note, are there any specifics or any particulars that you may want to bring to the attention of everyone in regard? I don't know, could be a culinary arts, could be is it a very homogeneous nation?
Well, there's
Are we looking at a very diverse population, like other, for example, Serbia, with some Muslim, religions, different religions and so forth? For anyone that is not aware of the Czech, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so the Czech Republic, just historically, has been relatively homogenous in terms of the population. Largely Czech, but with certainly with a German and an Austrian and a Slovakian influence at play there. I would say it's rather uncommon to find a Czech family who doesn't have a Slovakian family member somewhere, one generation or so back, or in the extended family. So there's certainly a lot of certainly a lot of cross culture between the Czechs and the Slovaks, but also with the Germans and the Austrians and the Poles. I mean, there's certainly, I would really say that there's not any sort of tensions with their neighbors, but yet as a country, generally tends to, there's not a lot of, not large minority populations in the Czech Republic like you might find, like you mentioned, in some of the former Yugoslavian countries.
Jonathan, if we want to experience some good Czech, let's say food or culture, where would you send us?
Well, there's some wonderful things here just in the state of Utah. For instance, in Midvale is the Bohemian Brewery off of 72nd South and State Street, which is a Czech restaurant that's been here for nearly 20 years, and it's a wonderful place. They serve some great food there. You may also be familiar with some of the kolache bakeries around town. Kolaches are a Czech pastry, and there are bakeries in Salt Lake, Provo, and Heber City, and those are all based off of Czech pastry recipes. And in Logan, we're fortunate to have our Slovak brothers own a restaurant up there called Crumb Brothers that also serves some food from the old world.
You have no idea how grateful I am for all those tips. I see that you're well versed in the good culinary arts coming from the Czechs. That's fantastic. Thank you, Jonathan. Hey, I have the gut feeling that the U.S. and the Czech Republic have outstanding bilateral relations, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, historically, that's been the case because the documents that were signed to actually form Czechoslovakia in the wake of World War I, following the demise of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, were actually signed in Pittsburgh. And so they're with the support of President Wilson at the time. And so, yeah, the Czechs and have always had a close and fond connection with America and vice versa. In fact, in Washington, D.C., there's a square right in the diplomatic section of town that has where there's a big statue of the first Czech president, Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk, who had an American wife and was good friends with Woodrow Wilson, and a great friend of the United States. Spent a portion of his career here, traveling and lobbying on behalf of the Czechs, and looking for support from the Western Allies. And so, yeah, there's long been a close connection, both through the very formation of Czechoslovakia, but also now in some of the international organizations like NATO and the OECD and the like.
It's interesting that you brought Mr. Wilson into this conversation, because we have a question coming up on our Facebook that, and I don't know if you'll have the information, but I'm going to throw it at you. You probably do. I don't know. But I don't want to put you here in an awkward situation. But did you know when was the statue of Wilson unveiled?
So interestingly, there's a statue of Masaryk in Washington, D.C., and a statue of Wilson in Prague. And the Wilson statue in Prague was unveiled about 10 years ago.
Oh, great.
There had been one there previously that was taken down by the communists, and so it was restored. It was put back in place with the support of American Friends of the Czech Republic, which is a nonprofit organization out of Washington, D.C., that raised funds to be able to reinstall that statue of Wilson in Prague.
We as Europeans, we have had somewhat of a little bit of challenging past 4 years with the previous administration due to disagreements or lack of thereof. So how are we looking ahead with the new administration, with the Biden administration? Do you think that things will stay the same, will improve?
Well, it will certainly be a change of gears, for sure. Thankfully, I think the Czech Republic kind of came through the last administration in relatively good shape. And I think the reason for that is, and a lot of people don't know this, President Trump's first wife, Ivana, was from the Czech Republic. And his children, Don Jr. and Eric, both speak Czech. And so, he's always had President Trump has always had a certain fondness for the Czech people. And so, I think that they were able to kind of navigate that period of time, maybe in a way that some other countries had a little bit more difficulty with. But, that being said, the Czechs are excited to work with the Biden administration and to, continue working on the transatlantic and the bilateral agendas.
That is fantastic. I think you clarify a lot of the questions and concerns from the local community as well as the community at large. Any last thoughts you may want to share or leave with our audience before we close today?
Well, we certainly encourage everybody to learn about the Czech Republic, to visit if they have the opportunity, enjoy a lot of the great culture. There's so much out there to enjoy. I was just thinking, for example, of the music of Antonín Dvořák or of Bedřich Smetana and others. There's just so much out there for a small country to have had kind of the outsized influence that it's been able to have because of its place in Europe. There's so much there. We talked about traveling and visiting. And, one of the things that the Czech Republic is known for is having the most castles per square mile of basically any country, which is, there's so much to see on that front. 14 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in a country that's less than half the size of the state of Utah. So, there's much to see and do and to enjoy with the Czech Republic.
every time I bring up the name of Prague or the Czech Republic, everyone just changed their countenance, right? Because they just love it. It's such a beautiful place. It is indeed a treasure, with that beautiful nation, and I wish we could continue to promote it and make it even more closer to our hearts, and so people would learn from all the experience, from the history, from the culture. You mentioned great composers. You know, it is a beautiful site, and I'm grateful that we have been able to meet today to continue to promote through our global dialogues the Czech Republic. Well, thank you, Jonathan. We do appreciate the time that you have taken, and I know your busy day to be with us. And also, I want to thank all of you that have been following these proceedings or will follow through Facebook or YouTube. And I want to thank everyone for making this a successful event. For as a way of information, for next week, March 23rd, at the same time, we'll have the great honor to meet with the Honorable Franz Kolb. Franz Kolb is the Honorary Consul of the Republic of Austria, and is also the Director of Diplomacy and International Relations for the Governor's Office of Economic Development. And the following day, on Wednesday, 24th, we'll be having our bi-monthly Take Action event, where we will be promoting Sustainable Development 16, which includes promoting a peaceful and inclusive society for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. So those are our two upcoming events next week. And again, Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And to see all the full schedule of events that we have in our office, feel free to access our website at uvu.edu/global. As we sign off this morning, choose to be a global citizen. Thank you, Jonathan, for this time and for this opportunity.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.